Welcome again to the old principal. I am the old principal, 我就是老校长, and we have another story today. This will be number 277, my senior year in college. Now, many of our viewers maybe don't know what this is. 这个是电路, okay? This is an old one. They look much more modern nowadays. And you will, in this program, you will hear me talk a little bit about this. So now you know what it is. This is 电路, okay? Or 炉子. So now, with that, we will read the story, or my wife will read the story, and then we'll come right back.
Story 277, Senior Year in College. During my final year in college, I continued to reside in Old West Hall. But because I was offered the job of resident assistant, I was given an apartment with its own bathroom and kitchen. For the last year and a half, I had been rooming alone, but now the dean felt that I should take on a roommate since I was given such a spacious apartment. Really, there was nothing fancy about my apartment because the building was already more than 60 years old. It needed to be torn down. But refrigerator and stove were included. No other students had kitchen appliances. Furthermore, I had my own private telephone. No other student had a telephone. The job was very easy. The dorm dean took care of all difficult problems and left me with only one function. Every evening I checked the rooms at 10 p.m. to make sure the residents had returned. After room check, I walked across the lawn to the main dormitory and handed in my report. Of course, I was basically on duty around the clock, but the men in my little dormitory were well behaved. I seldom had any problems to deal with. The other resident assistants in the main dormitory were envious of my easy job. The dean gave them additional tasks to do, but he exempted me. Sometimes the dean would wake up the resident assistants at midnight so they could make a surprise check to see if all the men were still in their rooms. The dean usually exempted me from making those checks. During that year, I was given a very substantial salary for almost no real work. In other words, I had lots of free time. But my grades showed no tangible improvement. In fact, they were slightly lower. Again, it proved that the busier I was, the more carefully I used my time, and the harder I studied.
Welcome back. Here we go. In my final year of college, or during my final year of college, I continued to reside. Woo, that's a big word, isn't it? Well, reside simply means to live. West Hall was the name of the 宿舍，的名字是叫 West Hall. Okay, so I'd already lived there a year and a half, okay? So I already knew a little bit about West Hall. I lived there total about 2.5 years. Now, going on. But because I was offered the job of resident assistant. Now, assistant maybe is 助理, resident is 宿舍. So resident assistant is 宿舍助理. And I got that job. 他们是雇佣我，我答应做呢. I was given an apartment. Whoa! I had my own apartment, not just a dormitory room, but 真正是有一个公寓. Okay, we had a bedroom. I mean, obviously, it's very, very small. Okay, and I had my own bathroom, 自己的洗手间呢，厕所. Okay, bathroom. And I also had a kitchen, 自己的厨房. Now that was good. In fact, so good that, going on, for the last year and a half I had been rooming alone, of course, rooming alone by myself, okay? But now the dean felt that I could take on a roommate. Well, okay. I had been by myself for a year and a half. You know, when you don't have anybody else, 没有室友, okay? No roommate. Then if you want to wake up, you wake up. If you want to sleep, you sleep. Dun, 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 dun. So now I have an apartment. It was a nice situation. And therefore, what? Therefore, 那个宿舍主任, the dean, said, I should take on, 我应该是接受, receive, accept, okay, a roommate. Since I was given such a spacious. What does spacious mean? Spacious, okay, well, spacious, it means 广大的. It also means very nice apartment. But was it really that nice? Okay, going on. Really, there was nothing fancy. Maybe I put this down, and then I can talk with a little bit more freedom here. There was nothing fancy. 一点都不豪华. Okay, fancy, 豪华. It may be spacious, it may be a little bit bigger. Okay, but it was not fancy. Nothing about it. 任何一个一点都不豪华. Okay, because the building was already more than 60 years old and needed to be torn down. Already, by my time, the building was 60 years old. And really, it needed to be torn down. What does that mean? 应该是拆下来. Let's take a look at that sentence again. Okay, because the building was already 已经过了60年. Okay, the building was an old building, and it needed to be torn down. Now, to tear down anything is 拆下来, to tear it down. So, but they still used it. Actually, if you want to know the truth, the year before I was there, my wife lived there. And it was a girls' dorm. Now it is a boys' dorm, 男宿舍. So it changes from year to year. Okay, nothing fancy. 一点都不豪华. Okay, going on. But I did have a refrigerator. 有冰箱. Okay, and a stove, 电炉. We saw a picture of at the beginning of this program. You saw a picture of what a stove looked like back then. So not a modern stove, but back then that's what 电炉 looked like. And interestingly enough, that the stove had a 烤箱机, okay, an oven. So cool. I had something really, really good. Even though it was old, it worked. 一点都没有问题. And the refrigerator worked. No problem with that either. No other students had kitchen appliances. OK, 这个厨房用的这些啦，炉子等等冰箱 no students had it, only me. Well, and my roommate, because he roomed with me. Going on. Furthermore, I had my own private telephone. My private telephone. 我个人的电话. Not bad. Not bad. My own telephone. And no other student had a telephone. Now, I must tell you that times were different. Nowadays, many students, in fact, dare I say, most students have 自己的手机. But in those days, we had no mobile telephones. 根本就没有手机. And even in the dormitory rooms, there were no telephones. I mean, we're talking about when I went there, that year would have been 1964, 65. Okay, 65, that would be what? 46, 47 years ago? Now that's a long, long time ago. Okay, and the students didn't have telephones. The school would not allow them. 学校不允许他们有自己的电话. Okay, going on. The job was very easy. The dorm dean, 宿舍主任, dorm meaning dormitory. So 宿舍主任 is dormitory dean or dorm dean. Took care of all the difficult problems. 他是处理所有的大问题，这个难题。And therefore left me with just one function. Now, remember, the dormitory, the dean lives in the other dormitory, the big dormitory. I live in the little dormitory. I am the only, you could say, administrator or 宿舍助理. Okay, there's no other dean, 没有宿舍主任. He lived in the other building. So I was in charge. 我是负责整个 West Hall. Okay? Okay? And I only had one function. 唯一的功能, 唯一要做的事情是什么呢? Going on. Every evening, I check the rooms at 10 p.m. Okay, every evening, I check the rooms at 10 p.m. to make sure, 确定, that the residents, the people who are living there had returned, 已经回到学校. If a person had not returned to the school, then I would give that report to the dean, and then the dean would sit and try to figure out where they were. Okay? So this is the only thing. Okay, after room check, I walked across the lawn to the main dormitory. So, like I said, there was a big dormitory. 有一个很大的一个宿舍. A very big main dormitory, 主要的宿舍. This is big. It holds hundreds of students, hundreds, 几百个这个学生啊，男生啊。Okay, that's the big dormitory, or we call it the main dormitory. But I was in this little tiny 3-story 三层楼的 West Hall, very old building. So after room check, 我检查每个房间以后, I walked across the lawn, 走过 the lawn, okay, the 草坪, okay, 草坪, the lawn, to the main dormitory and handed in my report, 提交我的报告, okay, handed in, 把我的报告提交给这个宿舍主任. This was his main job. He wanted to see, make sure that everybody was there. Going on. Of course, I was basically on duty around the clock. So, on duty 是值班. What does it mean, around the clock? Nowadays we use digital 数码手表, but in those days we had real watches that went around. Still have them. They're still around. Okay? And so if you work around the clock, or if you are on duty around the clock, that means 24个小时, 你是值班的. There is no time that you are off duty. If you are in the dormitory, then you are responsible. 当然我常常离开我自己要上学. Okay, so that's the situation there. Of course, I was basically 基本上 basically on duty around the clock, but the men in my little dormitory were well behaved. 好乖, well behaved. I don't know whether the dean chose them specifically or why, but they were well behaved, and so they were very, very nice. I seldom had any problems to deal with. What does it mean? 我很少 seldom 很少要处理 deal with 问题. So they were a good, very, very good group of young men. The other resident assistants, of course, 宿舍助理, there were many resident assistants across the way, over in the big dormitory. So there were many of them over there, but I was the only one in the little dormitory. Okay, they were envious of my job. Okay, what is it? They envious meaning 很羡慕. Okay, 羡慕 my easy job, because I just had a few people. They were very, very nice. So they were envious. They would have liked to have done that because I had my own apartment going on. The dean often gave them additional tasks to do, but exempted me. The dean often gave that additional tasks. 额外的工作, okay, 事情做. But he exempted me. What does it mean to be exempt. That means, okay, that it does not affect you. If I am exempt from something, that means that I don't have to do it or be involved. So, if the other resident assistants had to do something and I am exempted, it simply means that I didn't have to do it. They had to do it, but I did not have to do it. Going on. Sometimes the dean would wake up the resident assistants. Okay, this is in the main dormitory, 主要的宿舍. I'm not in the main one, I'm in a little tiny one. Okay, sometimes the dean would wake up the resident assistants at midnight, 半夜. Okay, and they would take a surprise check. Okay, 突击检查，突击突然间的一个检查房间呢 okay, they would take a surprise or make a surprise check to see if the men were still in their rooms. Now, sometimes these men would be there at 10 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock, they would be there. And then after the check, they would quietly sneak out, 偷偷地跑到外面去. So he would take these surprise checks at 12 o'clock or maybe even 1 o'clock. Whoa! But when they took these, this is for the other residence assistants. Going on, the dean usually exempted me from making those checks. Beautiful. The dean usually exempted me. That means let me avoid that. So, what does that mean? At midnight, what was I doing? I was sleeping. That's right. All the other resident assistants had to work, but I was sleeping. Going on. During that year, I was given a very substantial salary for doing almost no work. In other words, I had lots of free time. Good news, bad news. Well, interesting news. 好消息还是坏消息? No, neither. During the year, a substantial salary, okay? Salary, 薪水. It's more like a 公司. They figured a certain amount per hour and so on. Well, whatever is a salary. Substantial. Well, what is substantial? Substantial, substance. Substantial means 相当多 or 相当大. Anything that's 相当, okay, big, that is substantial. So my salary was substantial. And even though I had all of this free time, the bad news was my grades showed no tangible improvement. What is tangible improvement? Okay, 进步, of course, is improvement. Tangible is a 看不出来的进步. 看不出, no tangible. 看不出来的 improvement. In fact, 怪怪的. I had all of this free time. All of this free time, and my grades even were slightly lower. 我的分数我功课的分数 slightly lower. 这个低一点点. So it didn't improve. In fact, it got slightly lower. Going on. Again, it proved that the busier I was, the more carefully I used my time and the harder I studied. This I've shared before, and that is as a 证明, okay, that the busier I was, when I was very, very, very busy, okay, the more carefully I used my time. 我用的时间更加善用时间了. I used my time wisely and carefully, and 我更加用功啊. In this case, 努力读书, because we already had used my 用功 being using your time wisely. So, again, it proved that the busier I was, the more carefully I used my time, and the harder I worked at my studies. Okay, going on to our email address. You can write a letter to me, the old principal Lao Xiaozhang at gmail.com. And you can go to the website. We have a website, 我们的网站是 www.theoldprinciple.org. With that, it's been great to spend this time with you, and I do hope that you will join us again next time.